we erode trust. We are so pulled into building a tech heavy product. We want to add a lot of tech into it. The user experience or the entire user side becomes complicated.
Quoting Sam Altman, who said AI is going to produce a lot of billionaires than the internet era ever could. The builders, to the aspiring AI enthusiasts, to the product managers, prepare for the next era. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of AI-GNITION, and today we have someone very interesting working at the cusp of the AI industry right now, Mr. Pritish Kumar Choudhury, who is an AI product manager at Samsung and also an alumni of IIM Bangalore. So first of all, thanks a lot for taking out time from a busy schedule and taking out time to share your wisdom with our audience. How are you feeling? And welcome.
Thank you, Varun. It was a great day so far, and I hope it gets better with having a conversation with
For
you.
sure.
And specifically about the AI space, it's pretty exciting. Everything is changing by the day, by the hour. So it's pretty exciting to be the toes there. So happy to share whatever things that I've learned over months slash years
Right.
with the audience.
So me and my audience would love to hear your journey because you started from an edtech space and right now you are managing almost everything. Wearables, device, watches, hardware. When it comes to AI part, and you are actually at the cusp of it. So every product manager usually has a journey to his name when we talk about how he transitioned or how he found out the calling that he wants to actually become a product manager. So how does your journey look like? Please, if you can share it with our audience.
My landing into product management was more accidental, if I could put it that way. So this was back in 2018 to 2019 period, or close to 2020 pre-pandemic
All
period.
right. All right.
Again, back then nobody knew what product management was all about, right?
Totally.
So it was there, the industry term was there, but then people were not too much aware of it. So I just a broad brief background. I was an educator for a good half of the last
Okay.
decade.
Okay.
So right after my engineering,
Right.
I started off with a startup, spent 3-4 years there as an educator for school children, taught them math and science for good three,
Okay.
4 years. Moved to
Okay.
Byju's, wanted to be at the heart of technology and
Hmm.
intersection of technology and education. Spent a good 4-5 years there, but then first couple of years as still an educator at Byju's, was
Yeah.
managing the content ops over there,
So we are talking about the
managing.
COVID time, right?
This was
COVID period.
pre-COVID. This was 2018 ka period.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And so back in 2019 or early 2020, when this was just before COVID kind of began, right? So that is
Hmm.
where we wanted to scale products very rapidly. So we
Right.
wanted to build products very rapidly because nobody was prepared for a COVID, right? So, and as an education firm, our business was probably going to shut down because
Hmm.
no coaching centers would be open during the pandemic, right?
True. True. True.
So we wanted to build out a product there. So we were iterating a lot with the product, what form factor, how many students, what teacher, what ratio, all
And the edtech
operations
actually
to,
boomed in the COVID, like it just took off, right?
yeah.
Especially, the company you were working in were all over the headlines for, deploying a lot of sales people and, giving luring packages. So I still remember, I actually thought of actually applying it for the role as well at when, because I was just out of college during those
Okay.
days. So yeah, yeah, yes, sir, please continue.
Yeah, no, it was actually exciting. Again, there were two sides of the coin back then, but then the role that I was in was pretty exciting because
Hmm.
everything was happening very, very fast.
Right.
So we ideated on a product. We
Hmm.
have a small tech team to back whatever we are trying to build
Hmm.
it out, tested it on, let's say, a few hundred users.
Hmm.
Immediate feedback came: is it working? Not working? Move on.
Okay.
So that was that rapid scale of deployment or production that was there. And so that is where I saw myself fitting well into this role of a product
Mm.
manager, even though I did not know what product management was all about back then.
You won't
So
believe almost every leading product leaders I've talked to, they speak
Mhm.
just like this. Like, I didn't know what I was getting into, but I just thought it was exciting and I went all in. So that's the
Yeah.
beauty of this role, I believe. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So there was no playbook back then, right? Today you
Yes.
see a bunch of courses around, you see a bunch of videos coming out that this is what you should do, this is what
Yeah.
you should not do.
Yeah.
Back then there was no playbook. It was just trial and error for all of us, and then it kind of was exciting at the same time, right? So you had no backing, nothing. So that was there, and that
Mm.
is my entry into the field in general. But then
Mm.
what kept me going also, right? Like one thing is you enter into a lot of spaces, right? You might
Mm.
probably exit from there. But my calling,
Mm.
or what I felt was super critical in that role, was me trying to build something for the users, and technology being supportive but being very intuitive. So I'll
Mm.
just slightly elaborate on that. So a lot
Mm.
of times what happens is we are so pulled in into building a tech heavy product, we want to add a lot of tech into it.
Mm.
The user experience or the entire user side
Mm.
becomes very complicated.
Right.
So in my opinion, if any product that I build,
Mm.
technology is an intuitive layer, which is a mode in which I can interact with my
Mm.
users,
Mm.
is
Not
something that
bombard
I really
them.
enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that is where kind of technology has pulled me into itself. And PM, I've been working as a product manager since last probably a few years now.
Mm-hmm. So I think you're stressing more on the context part, right? You said that
Yeah,
it should be contextually suitable to the users, not that we're building
absolutely.
for the user feature for the sake of it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you mentioned that you have an expertise or you build AI native products for the sake of the understanding for audience. If you can please explain in simple terms what exactly does it mean to build AI native products, and
Mhm,
especially for the industry you are working in, which is spread across hardware, wearables, electronic devices, TV, etc., etc. So I'd
mhm.
love to hear that.
Okay. So again, AI native term is kind of used loosely around the industry, similar to what product management was, right? Probably
Right.
a few
Right.
years back, right? So what I feel is AI
Mm.
is here to stay, and you need to be empowering yourself with AI, but that doesn't
Mm.
mean that you would be doing AI native product management work as a product manager, and that's not a bad
Mm.
thing. Again, let me be very clear about it.
Mm.
Not all product managers have to be AI native product managers. It's good to be AI native if you have
Mm.
that level of A exposure, B
Mm.
hunger to kind of know the technology inside out. So again, I would probably take a step back to quickly differentiate what I mean by both the sides of the coin, right?
Mm.
So,
Mm.
all of us, again, I'm sure your audience and you might be aware of the tons of AI tools which are available.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking about the chat GPTs and perplexities, or let's say Claudes of the world, but things slightly more deeper. Let's say chat PRD is one which people commonly use in the PM
Mm.
space.
Mm.
Or let's say you use Bolt, Lovable, Replit,
Mm.
all the prototyping tools of the world, right? So
Right.
if as a product manager, if I'm working on all of these tools, making my life easier, right? Like I add in a few things. Let's say earlier my workflow would have been simple, like I would talk to the user, get their problems, get a
Mm.
basic sense of wireframing done on Figma or any other similar tools, and then ask my designers slash UX slash developers to build it out, test it with the users, get feedback,
Mm.
and again, the basic
Mm.
product life cycle, right?
Mm.
Now, with the AI coming in, a lot of parts of this puzzle can be
Mm.
solved with an AI technology. Let's say today, if I want to quickly validate my idea, right? I don't want to go
Mm.
to a long step of building wireframes, getting the design done, getting the final deployment done. I would probably
Mm.
quickly build it out on, let's say, a Bolt or a Replit or a Lovable, right? Now
Mm.
test it out to the users community, to
Mm.
my beta users, alpha users, whatever, right? So
Mm.
if all of this is something that you do or something that you would want to do,
Mm.
it's called probably AI enabled or AI augmented
Mm.
product management, where your
Mm.
daily workflow is supported by AI.
Mm. Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
So if your day-to-day activities have been empowered by AI, it's a very good thing. Again, I'm saying it's a
Mm,
very good thing that you're solving a lot of your daily challenges with AI, and that's absolutely amazing use case. So that's
mm.
something called as AI enabled or AI augmented product managers.
So,
But
a PM has to manage a lot of stakeholders at the same time, like
Mhm.
right from the management to top management to the designers, to the tech people. So, has AI actually reduced the friction? Because I've been in the shoes of a product manager, I've been in the shoes of a designer also, and a marketer
Mhm.
also. So, what I mean by that is there's a saying that usually PMs and designers don't go very well along. So has this has have these tools actually reduced the friction, or let's say I'll reframe it to call conveying the ideas better
Mhm.
when it comes to spreading it across the teams for you?
Yeah, so a quick anecdote there. So yesterday only I was having this conversation with a few of
Mm,
my colleagues out here
mm,
that how would we incorporate prototypes, right? So
mm.
in our day-to-day activities, let's say a Bolt or a Lovable, right? So
Okay.
there the whole idea of these tools is not that we will be, using these tools to build a production-ready application. Again, I'll take that with a pinch of salt that people
Mm,
might deploy it, but then for building a production ready application for a scale of Samsung and the scale of devices, it's very hard to use these tools to get it out. The whole
mm,
idea of these tools will be more in line of communicating what you're thinking. So today, if I would want to, let's say, have a small feature built out on Samsung Smart Things, or let's say for wearable OS, I would
mm,
want to build it out on, let's say, a PowerPoint presentation or a Figma file, which is again very, very static, right? Like you can't click and move
mm,
around, right? Like again, it
mm,
takes a lot of effort even to have those on-click effects on a PowerPoint presentation or let's say the Figma design, right? But
mm,
if I could replace that with the entire journey where I am able to click through the different parts of my
mm,
screen, understand what has happened, make some
mm,
API calls in between, let's say maybe
mm,
to my internal database or let's say to a chat GPT or a Claude API to make my entire
mm,
user journey end to end. And now I can
mm,
communicate well with my, let's say, designers slash R&D
mm,
folks or any other stakeholders, right? Like senior
mm,
management. That boss, this is what I'm thinking. Correct me
mm,
if I'm wrong on my thought process. Designs are
mm,
something that can evolve over time, and then this can
mm,
be at a later stage of the funnel, right? You don't
mm,
need to worry about design today. Focus more on
mm,
the thought process behind what you're building.
mm.
That makes using AI tools become faster with this.
True, sir. AI has been right now, as of now, been restricted to the digital world of it, like the smartphone. But
Mhm,
as it intrudes the ecosystem more broadly, like the watch, the TV, the
mhm,
electronic devices, how do you going around, or let's say evolving with respect
mhm.
to that? And especially how our lives will change
Okay.
as simple users. Yeah.
Mhm. So, how I think it will happen, right? Again, I might be grossly incorrect with AI, but then with my understanding being around all of these devices for probably a couple of years is
Mm.
uh, with before the AI era, right? Like this was probably, let's say, rewind the clock for 5 years back. The
Mm.
entirety of our digital world was revolving around apps.
Yes.
So if you could think of any solution, everything was an app-driven solution, right? Like
True.
all the
Exactly.
e-commerce was apps, all
Exactly.
your OTT was apps.
Right.
Everything that you could think of is revolving around apps. Now with AI coming in and
Mm.
we have information, again, you were mentioning about context, right? So context
Mm.
can be derived from your phone, but context can also
Mm.
be derived from the peripheral devices, right? Like let's say what AC temperature am I using, what
Mm.
AC even I'm using, right? Like the is it a smart AC, it's a normal
Mm.
AC.
Mm.
If my AC is on, is my fan turned off? If my
Mm.
AC is on, or my microwave
Mm.
is turned off, what is my voltage
Mm.
setting at my house, right? So now,
Mm.
as a OEM
Mm.
or as a
Mm.
ecosystem,
Mm.
all of this information can freely move around. And
Mm.
see, this information was already existing. The like none of these information was newly calculated. All of this
Mm.
information already existed, but
Right.
right now my entire user experience can be revolving around what I'm doing with one device and using that information or context into a second device.
Mm. True. Understood.
So now we are moving, let's say, what I was saying about the app culture, right? Like we would be
Mm.
moving. out from apps
Hmm.
into the real world and managing context. So again, this was something that I was talking about earlier in one of my LinkedIn posts. Was over the years the definition of oil has changed. So earlier oil
Yeah.
was oil, right, over which wars were fought and things happened, right? And
Yeah.
then it changed to computers, it changed to
Data.
internet, it changed to data. Right now it's
Hmm.
entirely about context. So everybody is fighting about the context.
Because we are in an era where we're developing framework right now, right? It was just like the 90s era of internet, or let's say dot-com bubble, where actually we are developing and there's no prior context to it, right? So everyone is figuring out, building and figuring out how it's going to be for the users, right? And so
Yeah.
one important point, which is there while building is for users is trust, right? And so all of these technologies with respect to AI are going to include, or let's say, gauges when it comes to behaviors, the mood, the routines. So as a seasoned AI product leader, how do you define or draw the line when it comes to something which will help in the personalization of the product and something which will actually invade their privacy? So
Yeah,
how do you actually, what framework do you follow while you're building?
that. Okay. Again, that's a very, very interesting question, and at the same time, very important also, right? Like
Mm,
with a lot of AI context coming in, and then the model or the tool kind of captures context from everywhere around you,
true.
right? Like even when you might not be aware that what context is being captured, if
Mm,
that happens, we erode trust. The whole idea is
mm,
if we are pushing everything into a black box, we don't know
mm,
what is happening inside the black box and what
mm,
data goes into the black box. We have a fair bit of understanding. We
mm.
have a lot of insecurity that is it creepy or is it personalization?
Okay.
So let me give you a example, right? Like I think you might have used Netflix, right? Like again, most
Yeah.
of us have. So we watch certain set of content out there based on whatever it understood about my user
Yeah.
persona. It throws out the
Mm,
next set of content.
right.
A few years back, what they have modified in the UX, I'm not sure whether you have observed this, is
Mm,
they have added another set of cards which says that because you watch, let's say, Stranger Things, you would like to watch
mm,
this.
right.
So this is essentially explainable AI.
Mm,
That why I'm giving you this recommendation. See, one way is
mm,
as a user, let's say you would have watched Stranger Things, so you
mm.
might like, let's say, Wednesday as a TV series.
This
Right? Again,
genre
I'm
of
slightly
movies.
into
Yeah.
science fiction, but then
Yeah.
anyway, coming back. So
Mm,
if you would have liked Stranger Things, you would like Wednesday as a TV show. That
mm,
system understood, and this
mm,
might actually be true to you as a user. But if you
mm,
understand, okay, how did it know that I would like Wednesday?
mm.
There the factor of mistrust comes in, that is it
Okay.
monitoring my conversation, is it
Right.
looking at any of my other searches to get this recommendation. It could be a
Mm,
simple thing, right? Like it would have only taken your watch history and then fed
mm,
into a model, gave you the output.
mm,
There was no other context that it had developed about Varun. But how would you
mm,
know that? There's no way of knowing it, right? Unless the system or the engine tells you explicitly. So there, the engine tells you very
mm,
explicitly that boss, you loved Stranger Things. You gave some
mm.
rating. You watched again. There's some data backing. You'd probably like this.
Actually,
Now
that reminds
it
me of a
doesn't feel
joke.
creepy.
Like, we say in Gen Zs and let's say the latest generation that as soon as I'm talking about something with my friends, the ads come to, appear on the Instagram or on the Amazon or on the Google. So that
Mhm.
actually takes a step back. The user trust starts eroding there, right?
Correct.
Maybe these platforms can be a bit more permissive when showing the ads because it instantly draws the takes a drawback that they're listening to us constantly, and maybe that might
Correct.
include in a private conversation. Yes, sir.
Exactly, exactly. If they would
These,
have said that, let's say
yeah,
I'm showing you this ad because let's say you watched a reel about it on Instagram and I'm
yeah,
guessing you would like it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
some sort of
yeah.
chaining the context, if can be shown to the user, he
Yeah.
won't feel being watched everywhere, right?
True, true, true. Sir, I actually was surfing through the net with all the developments that are going into the industry which you are working
Mhm.
in. and your organization are actually collaborating with a lot of tech giants like Microsoft Copilot and Nvidia. So I mean, like these are one of the most let's say torchbearers in the industry that are going to be, especially Nvidia. So can you give us a peek how next 5 to 10 years are going to look for us as users, let's say with respect to developments? I mean, like broadly, not specifically, and how it's going to change for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, I would probably go back to one of the earlier conversation that we were having,
Mm.
is about earlier we were talking about apps as being the sole
Yes.
thing around everything, right? Like we build
Mm.
apps back in the day, right?
Mm.
Now, last few years or last couple of years, we see, okay, let's say if I'm using my phone, I use these applications or these services, whatever I'm using on my phone. I have this as my computer. I'm using a bunch of things here. So I have something, let's say a computer task, I have a phone task, I have a tablet task. All of it are talking to each other, but there's still, let's say Varun would use his phone to take a phone call. Varun would use his laptop to, let's say, watch a video, or maybe use his tablet to watch a video,
Mm.
use his laptop to maybe edit a presentation, right?
Right.
Now, with AI becoming very, very common out there, with supporting a lot of this engine. Like your phone has an artificial intelligence sitting there,
Mm.
your laptop has an intelligence, your tablet
Mm.
having an intelligence. It
Mm.
would understand why am I using a particular device and for what use case I'm using it. And if
Mm.
I'm moving from one device to another, how can I transfer that context well for the user so that it becomes very seamless? So now, if my understanding is correct,
Mm.
three, four devices or five devices that you have, they should behave as a single unit. They should not
Mm.
feel discrete. That, okay, I
Mm.
have a phone which is a phone call device. I have a laptop which is a
Mm.
bigger screen editing device. I have a tablet which is essentially a entertainment media, if I can call
Mm.
it that way. Right? I
Mm.
might upset a lot of people, but then broadly, this is what you have seen. But over
Mm.
the time, these lines are becoming blurry with
Mm.
AI coming in and understanding context across different devices.
Mm. That reminds me of a very beautiful saying that, especially post the smartphone era, that phone
Mhm.
became an extension of our personalities and our selves, right? To the part that we cannot detach it physically from us. I mean, like
Correct.
90%, except when we're sleeping, phone is with us only, right? And it's just
Yeah.
extension of our personality. So what I'm assuming or taking out from the conversation you just had, that all these devices will actually become an extension of ourselves because they will move in sync now, right? With the
Yeah.
smartphone,
Yeah. The
right?
line will become very blurry between devices.
Right. And so smartphone, I still remember Samsung Galaxy launching the first smartphone in 2011 when it came to India. And do you believe it's been 14 years now that it was, I mean, like it was the time to actually move on to a new era? I mean, like was Chat GPT coming in a watershed moment for the, this industries across? Because I've not even seen Google, Google pushed itself only when ChatGPT came and, it became a threat for them, right? I mean, like with respect to the tools and, showing the AI mode in the Google search, right? Do you think it
Mhm.
was the time? I mean, like, with respect to 14 years, it has been only just smartphone and apps for the
See,
context.
I would say we would be, see, all of these are already stable products, right? And
Uh,
it's been a mass product, right? Smartphone is no longer a tech product. Back when it entered into the market, it was a tech product. Most of us remember using a dial pad phone with, again, that was my first phone, right? Like with 1 to 9 and A
yeah, yeah.
to Z
Even
written on
BlackBerry, yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah. BlackBerry or the simple Nokia. I mean,
yeah.
I had a Nokia 2700 back then, right? So
Mm,
back then, a smartphone was a piece of technology which took a good amount of time for mass adoption.
mm,
Now, if we want to replace it, I would not very sure if it's going to happen very, very quickly, because we need to have a solution which would cater to a few billion people out in the planet, right? Like today, if we have
mm,
a few billion people, we would have equivalent number of smartphones, if not less, right, in the planet. Now, if
mm,
I would have a, let's say, a version of a smartphone which is not exactly in that form factor, I would need to be give a technology which is
mm,
usable by the mass, which
Mm,
is, I think, is still a long way to go, given the current circumstances. But of course, we would be transitioning. See, when Nokia came out with the first feature phone, right? All of us thought that it's going to stay for a few years, right? Like it did stay for a few years
mm,
until smartphone became mass adoption. Probably we would phase out smartphone. Who knows, right? It all
mm,
depends upon how what's the adoption that people have. Even we say ChatGPT has a good adoption. It has an amazing adoption,
mm,
but it's still, if you compare it with the what's the denominator you're measuring it with, right? If you're measuring with a global
mm.
population, it's still going to be very, very less.
Definitely, definitely. Definitely. And so, do you believe that, these are some of the conversation we have in a product circle, design circle, that soon the context of UI UX is going to change in the sense it is right now physical in aspect. But right now, since you are in that industry where you are dealing with wearables, electronics, it's soon going to be AR, VR. Like, everything will be confined to our glasses, and maybe we'll be, touching, or let's say managing our phone or devices just through AR VR on the smart glasses. Do you believe that? I mean, like, any conviction you have about this, or is just a sort of, too exaggerated to speak as of now?
I would probably wait and watch how AR. See, VR has been there for a while now, right? Like VR is not something that was developed recently. It's been there for a while.
Hmm.
It has seen adoption, but not at a mass level, right? I'm slightly
Hmm.
worried if we say that it becomes a norm. If for something to become a norm, it has to be adopted by a few billion people.
Okay.
With AR coming in, I'm slightly more positive about it. If you would have seen recently Google's annual developer conference, they
Yeah.
mentioned about their AR glasses and
Hmm.
in collaboration something with Samsung, right? So probably people listening to this can actually watch the segment over there.
Hmm.
But broadly, for the AR glasses has a very amazing advantage over a VR headset is the form factor. The AR glasses are light in general, right? And they don't feel that intruding piece of equipment that you wear on your head, right? So the use
Hmm.
cases are very, very different. For a VR set, you would probably use it at a home setting, watching a video or playing
Hmm.
games, watching, consuming it for entertainment or some bit of productivity where you use it as an extension of your monitor or a laptop, right?
Moving on to the last question, sir. Famously quoting Sam Altman, who said, AI is going to produce a lot of more billionaires than the internet era ever could. And a lot of solo entrepreneurs would be coming in because a lot of things would be getting, a lot of teams can now get replaced in the initial stages, which used to take around 350 developers, or let's say 350 people of a team to, take the product to that level, right? So between all this, what do you advise as a former educator to the young folks, to the builders, to the aspiring AI enthusiasts, to the product managers, to prepare for the next era? And also at the same time, how would you advise them to find out the business area where the world
Mhm.
needs them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I would slightly differ with what you have kind of talked about.
Mm,
It's true that the era today with AI being powering a lot of people, we would
mm,
have a lot of billionaires coming in. Essentially, all the solopreneurs would be on the rise
mm.
simply for the fact that they don't need a huge team to execute their idea, right? I was talking
Mm,
about a few tools earlier, and there are much more than that, right? Which would automate a lot of this process, empowering individual business owners or individual startup founders to scale their businesses. But if we still look at a large scale team, which would be needing for a complex set of application, still with the current state of the product, we might not be there yet to do a large scale deployment with, let's say, with a few billion users or a few million users. I
mm.
still feel a lot of these companies would
Definitely.
have people in the loop to get the final product out. But of course, a part of their life becomes automated. Part of my life has become automated over the time, and my attention, that's how has shifted. So I would not say that I have more free time now because a good chunk or some part of my work is being automated by
Mm,
artificial intelligence. I I'm moving my focus from one area to the, let's say, for writing generic PRDs to thinking more about the business. And that is what we should all take probably as a learning or as an understanding from this session is if you are employing certain set of tools to generate productivity, it's also important what you do with the time that you have gotten out of it.
Hmm.
So if you're saved a couple of hours per
Okay.
week or 5 hours per week,
Hmm.
if you are still doing the same thing with those 5 hours,
So, where
then
would you
what did you?
advise a product manager, let's say a builder, to invest in order to peak up the efficiency, while building the product? Like, what would you advise? What would you do
Mhm.
in that hour,
Yeah,
like, let's say?
yeah. So for me, essentially, a couple of things are super, super critical here. First is having the set of understanding or building a system around artificial intelligence. Let's say if I'm trying to build around in one of my products or employ it in my products,
Hmm.
understand that where artificial intelligence layer brings a solution or gets in the way. If you
Okay.
could have those systems identified or guardrails built in, you
Hmm.
would have a better understanding of your product. And of course, all of this won't happen with, I'm just going to think that, okay, I'm going to build a layer. That's not going to happen. You need to
Hmm.
spend more time with the users because
Hmm.
a lot of us, let's say, come from development background, right? Like, and who aspire to be product managers.
Hmm.
Now, the one good slash bad thing there is people become more biased with tech capabilities versus what people need.
Okay.
Okay, so let
Hmm.
us say today my artificial intelligence or LLMs or agents, whatever the cool word of the day is, replace it with that,
Hmm.
has some sort of capabilities, right? Like it can build your workflows, it can automate part of the processes. Do I
Hmm.
even need them as an end user? Do your users need them? If answer is yes, go ahead and build it. If it
Hmm.
becomes just the next flashy thing in your device, then why are you even investing your time and energy there?
So, but do you feel sometimes? I'll explain it in the context of B2B. You
Mhm.
have to push in order to actually give in to the demand of the clients. Sometimes a
Mhm.
product manager faces that because just because everyone is, I mean, like everyone of your competitor is offering in the industry, let's say in the B2B space, so client is
Mhm.
getting anxious. Why mine is not? Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, did you have any similar experiences where do you actually draw the line to the clients that no, this is not the best use case for you? Not that we cannot give it, but I don't think that would be best fit for you to just add it as a eye candy on the platform. Did you ever face a situation in your context?
So in B2C, again, the ball game is slightly different because again, I am not building it for one customer, right? Like I keep in mind for a different customer groups, let's say students as being one of the customer group, working employees, elderly,
Hmm.
kids with kids, I mean parents with kids and all of that, right? So we look at individual user segments, and of course, right, there are always tech savvy folks out there who would want every
Hmm.
feature under the sun to be there on individual smartphones, right? So we prioritize what is needed and what can be built and what can be shipped out, right? Now
Hmm.
for B2B angle, I don't have a lot of experience out there, but if my simple understanding goes there, if a lot of your competitors are offering a particular solution, that kind of becomes a baseline in which you are judged, even though you might not even use it. So let us say if you're comparing a bunch of hardware devices, right? Even if you
Hmm.
don't care about those specs, you
Hmm.
see, let's say you put it on GSM Arena or somewhere to try to compare different devices, right? It shows
Hmm.
that, okay, this is some rating higher than this is zero point 0.2 megapixel higher, this is zero point 0.3 megapixel higher.
Hmm.
Doesn't make a lot of difference to you as an end user. But then as the numbers exist, you want to say, okay, if at this price point I'm getting this feature in a X phone, why
Hmm.
would I leave it on the table? Even though you're
Hmm.
never going to use it. So
Hmm.
that's where customer awareness or education comes into play. But then you can't solve it for a few billion people, right? So in a B2B space, it's still easier because you have a limited set of people to solve that problem for. But in B2C,
Hmm.
it's slightly hard choosing what to build out, what
And in
not to build
B2C,
out.
you have to go with the research rather than compared to B2B, where it's more of a client to client call, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like that depends, the feature development depends on that. But in
yeah.
B2C, it's more of a figuring out and, following and then testing it out and then releasing it for the beta
Mhm.
users and for the masses. So that depends on that. Definitely, definitely, sir. So just before I end, for the AI PMs who are actually willing to build their career into this role which you are in, any three specific advice you would like to give? Specific ones, whether it be tech compatibility, the soft skills, or let's say what can they do if they're starting from scratch as a college fresher, let's say.
Okay, okay. So first and foremost, I think it's not specific to AI product, but general product management is try to
Hmm.
understand your user psyche. If you are building a product, it has to be for the user, and you need to be there to understand what user wants and understand because users say 10,000 things, they might not even want all of it, right? So distilling
Yeah.
noise out of the
True.
feedback from the users is something that you need to develop as a skill set. AI can
Hmm.
help you clear through the noise, but that's
Hmm.
where your skill as a product manager comes in. That
Yeah.
after AI has filtered out, let's say, gave you 10 things that you might want to build it, what does your feeling say? What is your data backing to it? So that is one aspect. It's super, super critical.
Hmm.
Second aspect is not to be drawn in with the next cool thing in the town. Understand where your strengths lie. So what is your moat as an individual? So companies are still competing with an AI race, and everybody has an individual moat there, right? Like
Hmm.
Netflix has the recommendation engine as the biggest moat out there. Disney Hotstar has a good distribution network, right? So each companies are playing on their moat. So
Hmm.
you as an individual should have a moat, because if you do a lot of generic stuff,
Hmm.
every other person next to you might also be doing that, right? So what is it that differentiates you from the next person, and
Hmm.
capitalize on that? And this differentiation comes with your experience. Like
True.
for me, my biggest differentiation is I come from an educator background. So I have spoken to a lot of children and their parents, right? So
Hmm.
that segment I understand very deeply.
Hmm.
So the perspectives that I bring in, that what is safe for a child, what is needed for a child, even in a technology product, right? So
Hmm.
that is something gives me probably a bit of edge, right? So what is your moat? Your experience defines your moat. So don't discount what you have been doing so far just because you want to enter into the world of artificial intelligence or technology, right? So
Hmm.
that is another thing. Third, I think it's more while you are working on a AI product, try to make it as invisible as possible.
Invisible. In what context
Yes.
you can explain simply for our audience?
If you need an artificial intelligence, if the artificial intelligence is sitting as a layer and you constantly feel that there is a layer between you and your machine or you and your application, that,
Hmm.
okay, I need to talk to this layer to get my
Hmm.
work done, versus it becomes much more naturally integrable, much more
Hmm.
naturally flowing.
Is
Users consume
complementing a better word? Complementing or aiding my work or my experience
aiding
in
my
the
work.
product? Yeah.
Exactly. It should go together. Like it should not feel
Hmm.
this is a hindrance that some product manager has put in because they have
Hmm.
to add a layer of AI in the user experience. Rather, make it much more
Hmm.
fluid, much more seamless. Uh,
Seamless is the word. Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
Well, that explains a lot, sir, and thanks a lot for beautifully, uh, you know, consolidating your answers so well and your experiences so well in very simple terms for our audience. And I guess it was our luck that we were also talking to the educator at the same time. So
Mhm.
that empathy helps a lot. Because sometimes I have to actually ask the guest for diluting the technical terms. So, but here you already know that a lot of non-tech people or non-AI people or non-PM people are actually watching us, and they'd love to hear what you're talking about. So that thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot for taking out your time on the weekend to devote us with your wisdom and experience.
Thank you so much. It's absolutely amazing to talk to you and probably hear from the listeners what they think and where they agree slash disagree with me on whatever perspective that I brought in. But it was absolutely a gala time for me to talk to you. I think we've been talking for past 1 hour. So it's great.
Yeah, definitely. We're hopping on with the dates, and I'd love to have a longer session with you, sir, soon. Really looking forward before I end the podcast.
Sure, sure, sure. Same here, same here. All the best, Varun. All the
Thank
best,
you.
everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.